In this week's news quiz, our guest, Mario Diaz-Balart, has served in the House since what year? The year 2000, 2002, or 2004? The correct answer is 2004. Time flies. And
2002.
2002.
Which you just talked about, so you just messed it up right now when you were talking to the camera. I'll be your witness that you did give me the right date a little while ago.
I pronounced your name right.
There you go.
Let me ask you about President Barack Obama. Is he doing anything right?
Look, every time you listen to him speak, you have to be impressed by his ability to speak. Absolutely. Now, as far as his economic policies, where he is doubling the debt over 5 years, tripling the debt over 10 years, which to me is basically like stealing our kids' credit card.
Yeah, but he didn't invent.
No.
Big spending.
No, he didn't. As one of the reasons I think Republicans are not in the majority is because of big spending and big deficits, and I think rightfully so. I mean, I do think that the American people were right to say, you guys spent too much and you borrowed too much. Now, the answer isn't to then triple even those huge numbers over 10 years.
But we were, the economy was going nowhere fast. Well, no, it was going somewhere. It was going nowhere.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we had to do something. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
And that are we starting to see some little glimmer of hope, or is that wishful thinking?
I think when the president says that we're starting to see an uptick, and I'm paraphrasing and maybe not, I want to make sure that I don't put words in his mouth, but I think he's not seeing how bad the situation still is. I think the situation is still very bad. I support, and I supported, and I talked about this before the election, and I talked about it after the election. I supported a stimulus package, but a real stimulus package to stimulate the economy.
More targeted.
Yes.
Not as big.
Not as big, to create jobs, not to create, by the way, not to create federal bureaucrats, to create private sector jobs, to allow the private sector to create jobs. How do you do that? Two ways. Number one is, who creates jobs? It's small, mid-sized businesses. That's who creates the jobs. I mean, in Florida, it's over, 90% of people, of jobs created in Florida the last 10 years are small businesses. Well, shouldn't you focus on the job creators? Less than 1/3 of 1% in this so-called stimulus that Congress passed, which I voted against, goes to small businesses to create jobs, the job creators. Less than 7% goes to transportation infrastructure, which I think is also something that makes a lot of sense. You and I talked about it before the cameras started rolling about why it makes sense right now. Yet what this stimulus package does is most of it isn't even spent in the first year. It's spent in out years. So it's not going to create jobs now when we need it. It's creating federal bureaucrats, federal bureaucracy, and it's creating more entitlements, and it's creating more debt and more waste for our grandchildren and our children to pay.
Let me ask about some of the comments specifically by Rush Limbaugh, who said he is rooting for Obama to fail. Is that productive?
Well, I'm not. I'm rooting for him to succeed, and as strong as anybody can possibly root for anybody to succeed.
But is that kind of rhetoric productive? I mean, hoping that he fails in its political context, that's not going to help.
Jeff, you're probably a better. You have more understanding about radio waves and airwaves and the press than I do.
Yeah, but you're there.
I'm more of a yes, but I'm but I dedicate myself to policy, and I think the policies that this president has embarked on are very damaging. I think they're going to cause serious problems for our children and our grandchildren. They are not. Look, when you look at the debt that the last president brought upon this country, which I think people have are right to criticize that debt and that amount of spending, but the debt in particular. When you realize that this president, in the budget that he passed, this is before anything else that he's talking about doing, is not only doubling and tripling that debt. If you get the debt between George Washington and George W. Bush, you combine it all, this is more than double of all that debt combined. He's tripling the national debt in 10 years. We're going to have to, that's putting it on our, again, it's identity theft. Okay. You know, I was a victim of identity theft. That's when they take your credit card, they take your identity, start getting credit cards in your name and stuff. What this president and this Congress is doing is they have stolen our kids and our grandchildren's credit cards. They're going on this alcohol-driven spending spree.
Alcohol-driven?
Well, I'm exaggerating there. But I'm saying it's identity theft. It's identity theft. Yeah.
Did the president have it right in Somalia with the pirates? And again, we're taping on Wednesday. Things change, but did he have that right?
Well, our military had it right. And and credit where credit is due.
He gave the green light.
Yes, he gave the green light. That was clearly a right thing to do. I am concerned, however, when you look at, for example, today I saw that the North Vietnamese regime is already saying that they're throwing out the few inspectors that are there. They're getting rid of the cameras. They're saying we don't want any inspections. We're going to move forward with our nuclear program. Mm-hmm. You have Iran laughing at the United States. The day after that the North Vietnamese launched a missile in violation, in direct violation of the United Nations, I think it was a Chapter 7 violation. The day after, the United States announces cutbacks in missile defense. So you wonder, why is it that all of our enemies are emboldened? Mm-hmm. Why is it that they are now, more than ever, overtly saying that they're going to disregard the United States and the United Nations? Because they understand that when, like North Korea, shoots a missile in direct violation, and the president himself said in a speech in Prague that words have meanings and that you have to follow, you can't just violate UN resolutions. The day after the day after the missile is launched, what is the response of this administration? To cut missile defense, including the deployment of missiles in Alaska that are meant to shoot down missiles coming from North Korea, among others.
One more issue, we're running out of time. Does Congress play a role in the Chinese drywall situation?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think Congress needs to play a role. We have to have hearings. There's clearly some oversight that we have to do.
But does Congress have a role in anything that will help people on the ground who are suffering because of this faulty product?
Well, that remains to be seen. We'll be back in Congress in a few days in D.C., and I, for one, have already asked my staff to start asking to see if there are hearings already being scheduled. If there aren't, why not? And we have to figure out first what's going on. By the way, again, I go back to another issue. So yes, we do have a role, and we have to be aggressive. Now, the other thing is, we will regret the day that we deal with China as if they were our friends and our allies. Okay. Dealing with China, dealing with state sponsors of terrorism. China is not one, even though they're close, I think. But like Cuba, are things that we will always regret if we don't deal with them with a firm hand.
That's the last word, sir. Thank you for your time.
Sir.
Come back
Thank
and
you.
see us soon.
Thank you.
Our guest has been U.S. Representative Mario Diaz-Balart from Miami. He represents eastern Collier County and the Miami-Dade area in the U.S. House. And next week on this program, a little closer to home with the issues, Collier County Commissioner Donna Fiala. I'm Jeff Lytle. Thanks for watching and listening, and join us next time with Donna Fiala.